Hello, how are we doing? Happy spring. I guess if you're in Australia or New Zealand, the other side of the world, maybe it's not spring for you, it's probably more fall for you, but here it is glorious outside. I feel like we've had that 2 weeks in a row, so that is fun. I was joking, I think, on Instagram. The days I wash my hair and the days it's sunny out, I have a different hair color. I've been going a little bit darker. This is what our live stream is about, but TMI, here we are. I've been going a little bit darker so that I can be a little more close to my natural hair color, so I can grow my hair long. But it's been really, really funny to see that I'm like more blonde or not blonde, depending on, if I'm using dry shampoo or not, and if it's sunny out. So today it's sunny, so I feel like I'm a little bit more blonde. And when it's cloudy tomorrow, I'll look, what does my stepson say? I'm blonde. Blonde is the word. All right, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about the strategic shifts my clients make to break past 5 to 15K cash months. This is part 3 to close out our 3-part series on hitting and breaking through income ceilings. Before I dive in, quick announcement. I'm bumping my table. Quick announcement. I am opening up a strategy intensive in May. So I will have one of those available. So particularly today, we're going to be talking about strategic shifts. If you're listening to this and you feel like you're in a place where what you need is either to map out the strategy altogether to hit those first 5K to 15K months, or you're ready to scale, I do have one strategy available in May. I would love to support you. It's a week long. It's a great place to map this out. I'll drop a link for a free coaching consultation, or you can DM me if you have any questions. I don't check my DMs that often, so I recommend booking a consultation, but I'll try to keep an eye on those. Again, we do have one available for May. One-on-one spots. It might open up a spot for the right person, but that definitely have a strategy intensive. Okay, let's dive in today. So the last 2 weeks we've been talking about hitting income ceilings, what to do to break through those. Again, if you have questions around this, please drop them for me. I'm doing this for you, not for me. We talked about upper limits, and then last week we talked more about the mindset reasons, some of the mindset reasons that I see are really common for people to hit those income ceilings. 2 things I want to preface with today's conversation. One, I think it's important for us to say, I think last week the title was something around like when it's not your strategy, when my clients focus on to make $100K to $1 million in business, which are real results my clients have created while working with me. And I think it's also really, really frustrating when we're in business and we just hear someone talk about your vibe or how like you're just hitting a mindset block and that's the only reason you're not making more money. And look, like sometimes that really, really is the thing. I do think it's important to say we're going to talk a lot about the strategy pieces, but the strategy generally is pretty simple and our business will generally show that. And when we get clear on the strategy shifts and we're still hitting those income ceilings, we're not making more, unless it's a capacity issue, which we'll talk about as well. While that can be annoying to hear, the truth is for most of my clients who are scaling, yes, we are making these strategic shifts, but they are quite easy. If I look at our sessions, this is like a couple minutes on a call. Maybe we have one call to map this out and then we're making small refinements. It's usually not huge sweeping changes. It's not usually like they have this huge problem in their business and we're spending all of this time like reworking their strategy. We're also not getting into perfectionistic mode. And I really want to preface this conversation with that because otherwise I find if I'm not coaching you one-on-one or you're not working with someone one-on-one, and you hear some of these, it's really easy to think I need to implement all of these strategic changes or all of these things need to be perfect to scale to 20K months and above. And that is just inherently not true. I cannot tell you how simple strategy is, how imperfect you can have your strategy and still get results, how often I see clients who have an offer that they're delivering really great on and that they believe in, a solid strategy and a solid mindset, but it is very imperfect. There's lots of opportunities in terms of what they could do to make it better, still get really great results, including scaling to 1 million. And so again, I want to be really mindful, particularly as we're talking about this one, because otherwise these conversations become about making things perfect or thinking we need to have all of these things in place. And that's just not it at all. That really should probably be the whole conversation. Like the clients I see having the biggest results, they're not perfect. They're amazing. They're incredible what they do, but they're not focused on getting things perfect. They're not focused on how do I maximize every single thing in my business. They are actually focused, like that is part of the mindset side, right? Like trusting their business works for them. They're focused on great, like believing in their work and great delivery. And yes, they're focused on some of the things we're talking about today, but they're really looking at what are the big levers and how over time can I improve those to keep improving results and making things easy. But I would say this is more a mindset thing. They also know they don't have to have everything perfect and right to get really big results. If I think of every client of mine who's making multi-six and seven figures. And they might still have mindset stuff come up around this, but every single one of them knows that there is an opportunity in their business. And every single one of them also knows what their business needs most from them at any given time and isn't wrapping around that axle of perfectionism, even if that's something they're recovering around. Like, none of us are perfect even around that, but every single one of them, like, it's an ongoing process. And so that just feels really important to say here again, because otherwise I'm going to share quite a few things because I want you to be able to self-coach and to identify those opportunities in your business. But I do not want you to walk away from this conversation thinking, now I need to go implement all of these things, or all of these things are problems in my business. Or because what I also see, one of the biggest reasons, this is more mindset as well, but one of the biggest reasons people hit an income ceiling is they think they need so much more to make more money, and they go off and try to implement all of this other shit instead of seeing what they have is probably really solid. And if they can keep working that or refining that, that is usually what will help you to scale more. I had shared on my biggest cash month last month by $1,000. We've been making 25K to 40K cash months for years in my business, but it was still fun because it's the biggest, it was an upper limit for me that I broke through. I didn't do anything new or different. It's not like I made these huge sweeping changes. I actually made a post about this on Instagram, these like crazy strategic shifts. I did make some strategic shifts, but really the truth is I let my strategy work for me. I have a solid strategy. I just kept working it and I made a couple internal shifts, a couple little micro shifts. Like, that's more why I got those results. So again, I am going to share the strategic parts here, but I just really, really want to preface all of that because otherwise this will become the very thing that keeps you stuck. The other thing we touched on last week that just feels really important to hit on and touch on here, you might not want to make more than 5 to 15K per month in your business, and that's not wrong or bad. I have plenty of clients who have beautiful, sustainable, profitable businesses. They're making about 10 to 15K cash per month, and that's what their business is set up for, and they're content, and they don't want to work more hours, and they don't want to have another offer, and that's not a problem. And so they're not at I guess they're technically at an income ceiling, but they're not like stuck. They have just decided that's the business they want, and they might change things down the road, or they might raise prices or something like that. But it feels really important to say that as well. Not every business is designed, and not every business owner wants to make 20K cash months or more. I do find for a lot of my clients that kind of 20K cash month and above mark is a sweet spot. Look, all of us, I think, would just like to make more money in theory, but making more money also, not that you have to hustle harder, but it does, to hold a larger business, to make higher multi-6 and 7 figures, it does just require more in terms of infrastructure, in terms of your capacity as a CEO. Like, let's just not gaslight anybody on that either, and not everybody wants that. But I do find the reason I speak to the breaking past the 5 to 15K cash months, I do find for a lot of us, kind of once we're past that 15K cash month, once we're making around 250K per year, things in businesses get a lot easier because you usually have enough revenue coming in to pay yourself well, to pay for taxes, but also to pay for, coaching, team support, and things like that. And so I find that's why that number. And then some of you, of course, have bigger goals, and that's beautiful. And here I, again, support clients to 500K, 700K, $1 million per year. That's beautiful as well. But I really also, with this conversation, don't want to make this a thing where it's, because I think our space gets so fixated on if you hit a certain number, then you're a good business owner doing things right. You're a good business owner doing things right. If you're making 5K to 15K per month, that's not wrong or bad. And if that's not giving you enough profit to live off of, or if you want to scale and you can't figure out why you're not scaling and you're trying all of the things, that's what this conversation is about. Okay, I feel like I've given all my disclaimers, or enough of them. Let's talk into some of the things I've seen. Okay, I broke this into offers, marketing and sales strategy, delivery and systems, and team. And I'll kind of rattle through a few things and like on each heading, and then talk through a few key points I see particularly come up for my clients quite a bit. Again, if you're here, say hi. If you have questions around anything in particular, just love always to have the conversation around this. Okay, so first and foremost with offers, I think the offers it's so interesting to me. I think this is one of the most like simple things in terms of scaling, and also one of the things that like fucks our brains the most. And I don't ever want to put blame or like give our power away to things, but I think our online space makes this far, far, far more confusing because, let's just normalize it, like never before the online space have all of us seen everybody's offers and business and strategy and results and everything the way we do now. So like there's a reason that this gets confusing. But what I see a lot in terms of, again, if you want to scale past 5 to 15K a month and you feel like you're doing all the things, you can't figure out what's going on, and you're like, yeah, like maybe it's a little mindset, but it's probably something else. One of the first things I like to look at with clients is their offer. And there's a couple different things I see strategically happen with offers that make us hit those income ceilings. First and foremost, I think I talk about this in the Simplified Scaling Blueprint, which is my masterclass. We turn that evergreen. I will drop a link after this class to that if you want access to the evergreen class. It walks through the 5 components you need to sustainably scale. I think it's an excellent masterclass. It's exactly what I coach my clients through and work myself through. There's a great workbook in it. I'll drop that link for it afterwards. So I do talk about this a little bit in there, but I think we have to be honest with ourselves sometimes and not make ourselves wrong when our pricing for our offers doesn't match our goals, when our offer isn't scalable, when we have an offer suite that doesn't have, I don't love the Ascension model because that's not what I use, but in terms of we don't have any sort of model for either Ascension kind of up our offer suite or ladder, however you want to call that, or we don't have a way to make reoccurring revenue or have renewals or to have retention. I'll explain these more. Not that you have to have that to scale, but I do think that is something that comes up a lot. Or when we have offers that don't allow us to, like, we're basically maxed at capacity in terms of how much we can earn from those. What I would say, there's like, yes, technically you're at an income ceiling then, but it's not because like your strategy sucks or because you can't make more money. It's just that your offer isn't set up. Like you literally are at a ceiling in terms of like there's no more way for you to make more money with what you're currently doing. And this is so important because I find otherwise it's just so easy for us to be like, well, it's because I don't have a big enough audience, or it is a mindset thing, or it's because I like have bad money mindset, or it's because I don't have the right audience. Well, like fill in all of the things there, when sometimes it's just really practically, literally what we're selling is set up in a way where we're either at capacity or it doesn't allow in more. I know this is so Captain Obvious, but I cannot tell you how often we don't realize this for ourselves. Like I think about my own business. I technically have a unlimited income I can make because of revenue share, and that is based all on what my clients make. And so in many ways also what I make is kind of capped by what my clients make, and then the rest of it is based on the base rate. So if I'm not scaling faster, it's not because of my marketing or because I'm not good at sales or because of my audience or insert all of the things. It's simply because of my offer and my model. And I could make that wrong or I can make that right. I think it's neutral. I think it's just really helpful to see. And then I get to decide, am I okay with that? Is this what I want? Or if I want to break past this income ceiling, if I want to make more, do I want to adjust things there? But I think we just make ourselves crazy when we don't acknowledge what the reason is for the results we have. And we make it something else that's wrong about our business or ourselves that doesn't actually need fixing. And when we understand it's something as simple as this, then we can also just decide, well, am I good with this? Great, then I don't need to change anything. But then I need to be okay with the money I'm making or increase my prices if my market can bear that. If I'm not okay with that, then I need to make a change here. So I will just give a couple of examples just in terms of specifics because I rattled through quite a few things. But I will say the other thing I see with offers before I get those examples, and this I see happen quite a bit. Believe it or not, I think one of the reasons people also hit income ceilings is having too many offers or trying to scale too fast. And so I'm going to break both of these apart. Let's actually say I wrote a post about this today on Instagram. I talked about how I leave a lot of money on the table, and yet I still made $41K cash last month. And this right here is why. One of the biggest things I see is when we want to make more money, a lot of times we hear that the offer could be an issue. And so we're like, well, I'm capped at 101. Let me just like hurry up and like add on more and more offers. And we forget that every offer, for it to sell well, needs to have marketing, it needs to be built out, needs to have great delivery, it needs social proof. We need to teach our audience about it, right? Like every offer, for it to actually be successful, actually needs quite a bit. And it also needs to be something that our audience actually wants to pay for and invest in, not just something we're trying to make money from. And so I find a lot of times when I'm coaching clients, a lot of clients will come to me and they're capped at revenue. And one of the first things we look at is the reason for that is they just have so many offers. And when we do an analysis on where is most of the revenue coming from in their business, it's really interesting. There's usually one or two that are making most of the revenue. And then there's like 3 or 4 other offers that are like bringing in like drips and drabs, but that are taking so much effort, time, energy. And so what we talk about is, and I highly recommend doing this. If you have a lot of offers, take an audit. And just take a look at where is 80% of your revenue coming from? Where's most of your revenue coming from? For some of you, it might really be split across them, and then maybe this isn't a challenge. But for most people, I find there's 1 or 2 offers that most of their revenue is coming from, and the rest, there's like nothing. Well, then you know right there, like just think about how much time, energy is going into marketing, and how much of your sales like relationship and bandwidth with your audience is going towards marketing those other offers. And just think, if you were to drop those and just focus on 1 or 2, how much easier that would be to make more revenue faster. That's literally been the secret to my success. Maybe we have to do a whole live stream around that one. Oh, Linda says, this is exactly what I have been coming up against. Too many offers and jumping in on creating new ones. Yes, too much effort. I just so appreciate you, Linda, because you're also so good at what you do and so successful. So I think it's just so refreshing to hear when people just talk about that. I've shared this, if this is helpful for everyone to hear. My first year, maybe my first and second year in business, I had a lot more offers. I've always focused on one-on-one, but I mean, part of me is glad that I did this because it helped me to learn every model, to figure out what I really liked and I'm the best at. But I had a membership, I had a course, I had a group program, I've done a mastermind, and the more I did, the less I made. And again, I think it was helpful at that stage of business for me to test. I don't want to make my past self wrong, and don't ever make yourself wrong for the things you do in business. It's all a test and a growth and learning edge. But when I dropped all of those, I remember having a conversation with my coach, and I was like, I think I need to close my group program. And all of these were making money. I think I had my first 10K month not long after that, and I have since made 69 consecutive 10K to 40K cash months. That's not a coincidence. And I think one of the things we forget is it's not just the time and the energy and effort, like Linda's saying. It also takes time to teach our audience, to get us to know, to get like what we are known for and what we're really great at, and to teach them about an offer. I think one of the secrets to my success is I've just been doing the same fucking thing for so long. So I've gotten better and better at it, for one thing. But I've also taught people, this is what I'm great at. This is what I offer. That helps build demand. That helps teach people. If you want great one-on-one coaching and you want to scale your business and you want someone who really wants to be in it and supports you and really knows the mindset and strategy side, Kim is one of the few people who does that. But that's because I've been teaching people that for so long. But if I was trying to teach people that, and that I'm really great at courses, and that I'm really good at this mastermind, and that I'm really good at whatever, insert. It's not that, I have clients who do that. It's not that you can't do that, but I think we see it does just take time to teach our audience that and to take them along for the ride. So Linda, I just really appreciate you saying that. Okay, let me go on to the next pieces here, because otherwise I'll just want to talk about, because clearly I feel passionate about that. With the other pieces with the offer, what I would just be paying attention to is your offer, like a couple of things. Are you at max capacity with your offer in terms of, if you have a one-on-one model like me, if I didn't have revenue share, that would be okay. Like I could just say like that's my capacity for clients, but I have a max capacity in terms of number of clients I can serve. And if I'm at max capacity and my prices are set at a stagnant point, that is all the money I can make in my business. That is not wrong or bad. That is a beautiful business. A lot of people burn down incredible businesses that are making them 250K, 300K per year because they make that wrong and they think that they need to have something scalable. So again, this is not a conversation to say that is wrong or bad. This is a conversation to say, if you're wondering why you're hitting an income ceiling, or you feel like you're trying all the other things and you want to make more, if you have an offer where the number of seats you have, a group program, a mastermind, let's say you have, let's just for like numbers, say you have 15 to 20 seats available. All of those 15 to 20 seats are always booked. And let's just say for round numbers, you sell that at $1,000 per month, and that's what you offer. That means you're, just because of math, you're going to hit a cap of 15 to 20K per month. And again, that is not wrong or bad. That is a beautiful thing. But if you're wondering why you're hitting the cap, then you can answer the question, that's why. It's not because of your marketing. It's not because your audience sucks. It's not because you have a bad money mindset. It's simply your offer. And then if you want to change that, one thing you can do is raise your prices. Like, are you charging appropriately? The other thing you can do is to look at, can you change your capacity? And the other thing to look at is, now is it the time to have an ascension model of some kind? Do I want to have a different downsell, upsell? Do I want to have something else to increase that capacity? And again, I'm not coaching all of you. I'm not suggesting that's the thing. This is just to help you identify what is the strategic reason, so that again, you're not deciding you have a bad money mindset when there's a really practical reason you can understand as to why you're making the money you're making and what you would want to shift if you want to make more. So we're not solving the wrong problem in your business. And then with that, I'm just trying to see how far, because I want to make sure I go into the other parts here. I would just say, like, strategically, just with the pricing part, what I am always checking in with clients is a lot of times when they're hitting like the 5 to 10K income ceiling and they don't have more capacity, almost always when I look at things with clients, there's an opportunity to take a look at rates or to take a look at like, where are they undercharging? Where are they maybe discounting too often? And this is like this is more when I see clients kind of hitting that like income high, income low, income high, income low. Are we not looking strategically at the delivery and our quality of delivery and really encouraging retention and renewals? Because if we don't have a way to encourage retention and renewals, it is just a lot of time and energy to constantly have to bring in new clients. And if we don't have a way to bring in reoccurring revenue, again, not all of my clients who scale I have one client who's making about 600K per year, and their business does not have a reoccurring revenue stream. It's actually something we're looking to see if we can kind of be innovative in their industry to implement. So I just want you to see, like, you do not have to have a reoccurring revenue model. However, for a lot of us, it does make it a lot easier to scale revenue, to break past those kind of like income ceilings and to sustain that when we have a way to retain clients because our delivery is so great, but also when we have a reoccurring revenue model. So we're not having to spend a lot of time constantly chasing new leads and clients. It just takes more time and energy and money, frankly, to create a new client than it does to keep an existing one happy. And so I just think, like, we just don't talk about this enough in the online space. Some of the secret to scaling is focusing on good delivery. It's focusing on good service. It's focusing on caring about your clients. It's focusing less on grabbing more money and selling more and really focusing on what's in front of you. Because if you do that, right, like the secret to my marriage is not figuring out how can I be better for a lot of other people. It's focusing on like, how can I be great in this relationship so that it's like reoccurring. I don't know if that's the best example. So I would just really invite you to look at that there. And let's move on to marketing and sales. I feel like this is the one people always want to hear about. Let's talk about some of those opportunities I see. So one of the things I find really stalls income out and makes for kind of those highs and lows and makes it hard for us to scale past that, if, you know, assuming we have the right offer and pricing and capacity, is when we are trying to reinvent the wheel in business all of the freaking time with our marketing and sales strategy. And when we don't have a well-oiled machine in our business, we don't have something that we can rinse, repeat, and refine. We don't have a clear customer journey, and we're just sort of like doing a bunch of different stuff all of the time. Or what I see for some of my clients, and I have to be mindful of this myself because I just love creating things for y'all. I have a like rinse. I mean, one of the things I talked about last month, I was like, I think I made a reel about this last month or last week about like the 3 huge things I changed in my business to make 41K cash. Then I was like, I'm joking. I didn't really change anything. I focused on client delivery and working my strategy because it works. And that like kind of is the secret. And I have to be mindful because my strategy works really well. And of course, there are small micro things I shift and refine, but I'm able to do that because I keep working the same strategy over and over again, and I know it works. I would cost my business so much money, and I would probably sabotage. I don't like the word sabotage. I would limit. I would create hurdles and challenges in my business if I was always trying a new strategy, if I was always trying to recreate the wheel, if every time I saw someone online who's like, this is the way I made $1 gazillion, I was either changing my offer or changing my marketing strategy or sales strategy up, that would actually yield worse results. Doesn't mean we can't ever test or try new things or stack new strategies on top, but the more you rinse and repeat a strategy, the better and better you get at it, and the more data you collect. Like, I think this is the real reason for it. I mean, like, yes, you get better and better at it, but the more data you collect, and so the more you see opportunities to refine and to do less better, as opposed to every time we're trying new strategies and trying new things. I think I talked about this on our last live stream or the live stream before. I think we just forget the inherent learning curve we all have to go through. This is why starting a business is so challenging, and sustaining and scaling a business, I think, is honestly a lot easier because we have so many growth learning curves at the start of business. There's so many new skills we have to learn unless we've had a business before. And what most of us do is we will get a new strategy. We will learn it to the point of discomfort. and or to the point of like where we hit a ceiling and then decide this is too hard, this is uncomfortable, let me go try to learn something else. And I think I said this last week, we're just forever in this journey of I grow to here, it gets uncomfortable, I start over and do something else. I grow to here, I get uncomfortable, it gets hard, it's not working, I'm not growing more, I go somewhere else. The way that we get any strategy to work and scale for us is we get a strategy and we get past that learning curve and we work through that growth edge, and then once we're up here, right, we just keep sticking with it, and then it gets easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. But also the longer we do something, not only the better we get at it because of mastery, but also the more data we get. And the more data we get, the more information we have to make smart strategic shifts, not I'm making the shift because my intuition told me to. And look, I lead by intuition. I love my intuition. I love my gut. My intuition told me to move to New York City. It was right. My intuition told me to pick up Tinder when I hadn't been on it. And that's when I met my husband, right? Like my intuition tells me a lot of things. So I'm not knocking intuition. And I think we use it as an excuse a lot of times in our business to not stick with something, to rinse and repeat it, and to not allow that to work for us. I think sometimes for those of us who secretly like the struggle or secretly are scared of success or secretly are scared of failure, whatever that is, we like to make things harder than they need to be. Starting, stopping, lots of different strategies is that. So when we don't have a clear customer journey, a clear strategy, a clear path to results, or we're constantly reinventing the wheel, when we don't have a plan for that and we don't have a way then to look at the data to see what to improve, that will make it a lot more challenging to consistently break through any income ceiling you have. When we have a clear customer journey, when we have a clear strategy, when we know what works and we can rinse and repeat it, then we know when something isn't working, we can take a look and see, well, this is how this usually performs. Let me see what's different here. That's also, again, when we can start looking at data and making really smart tweaks, not huge shifts. I don't know if this example makes sense, but the example I've given before to a client, I think about this as if we were playing, I don't play basketball, I know nothing about basketball, outside of my husband really likes it, but if I was playing basketball and I was being coached to like make more free throws, 3 points, my sports analogies are not great, but hang with me because I don't know all the terminology, and I was being coached on that. What I would want to do is practice that over and over again, right? To practice my skill set over and over again, the strategy and the drills and whatever that is. And then my coach would probably give me, based on what I've been doing over and over again, they would give me some feedback based on the data of what I've done for, like, let's say the last 100 free throws. And it would probably be this information, this data, this insight that would be this like micro small tweak. They would probably tell me to like swish my wrist differently, or like every time I do this, the reason I keep hitting the rim and not making the 3-pointers is because my right foot is like pivoting to the left wrong. I don't know if this is a thing, but just you get what I'm saying here. What they wouldn't say is actually, you're doing it all wrong. What you should do is turn around, make a 180, start doing jumping jacks, and like dribble the ball under your feet, spin around 3 times, and shoot towards the other hoop. And I'm being so dramatic here, but I think that's what a lot of us do with marketing and sales strategy. We, like, as soon as it's not working, what we don't realize is we're usually like this, like, we just need the data to see like this little small micro shift that can give us all the points to win the game, so to say. But we look for the coaching or for the support that has us do all of these crazy things and literally has us turn ourselves around and make a point on the opposing team's goal post, or basket, or whatever we call it. And so that's what I mean with strategy, I think, or overall. So I would take a look at that. One of the, this is so obvious as well, but I think we just like to avoid, I did a story on this yesterday. I think generally speaking, we like to lean into the things that feel the most comfortable and that we're the best at, and we like to avoid the things in our business that are usually the biggest opportunities, but they're usually the biggest opportunities because they're the things we're not the most comfortable with. And so what I was sharing on Instagram stories and kind of plays into this, one of the other reasons I see that we hit these income ceilings and we have a hard time making more than the 5 to 15K cash months. Again, if that's something you want, I'm not saying that isn't great if you're making that at all. Like, you're doing better than 90% of all business owners, but we're just talking about, the opportunities to scale is, again, we either don't have a holistic marketing strategy and that customer journey, and we're not rinsing and repeating that. We're like starting over and over again. But when I say holistic marketing strategy, that means we don't have a clear pathway and know how to get visible in front of new people, how to build relationships with the people in front of us, how to nurture them, and then how to have a conversion tool to turn them into clients, right? We usually have like one part of that strategy or couple parts of it, but not the holistic strategy, or we have a very lopsided customer journey, and we tend to focus on the parts of that strategy we're most excited about, we like the most, or the people online are yelling at the most and selling to us, as opposed to the lever that our business needs the most. And I'll use an example. So let's say the thing you love the most is creating reels. I know not everybody likes this, but some people like really love social media and reels and like getting visible. And so you're really great at getting in front of new people, and you've like bought all the courses and you've mastered that and you're going viral, and you're like, oh, I don't understand why I'm not making more money. Well, if the rest of your customer journey and strategy is lopsided, like reels are not a sales strategy. Reels are a visibility strategy, right? It is one part of a holistic marketing strategy. It's just like ads. You could be crushing it at ads, but if your ads are getting a bunch of traffic and people, and it's taking them essentially to an empty warehouse where we don't have anything to sell, or we don't have a journey to take them through, right? We're just kind of lighting money on fire. And so I find, again, we either don't have that holistic strategy, or we're focused too much on one part at the expense of the other. For a lot of my clients, I find actually the visibility piece and the like traffic part, traffic is actually pretty easy to get, but I find the visibility piece can be challenging for a lot of people. And I know this is so, again, Captain Obvious, but I think this is helpful to see, like, you can have the best offer in the entire world. You can be the best in the world at what you do. But if you don't want to be seen, or you're not being seen by people, right? Like that's actually the problem to solve for. That's the strategic and probably the mindset issue coming up as well to solve for. Similarly, if you're getting seen by a lot of people, but we don't know how to communicate with them in a way that teaches them why you and your offer are the thing they need, right? This is messaging, essentially. I'm doing a masterclass at the end of May. My yearly Words That Sell, I've updated it for 2025. I think it's really good. I'm also doing slides for the first time ever, y'all. We'll see how that goes. I've never done slides before, so but I'm hoping that'll help it land a little bit more. So stay tuned. Next month we'll dive into the messaging part. But if we don't have those two pieces, again, we just talked about the offer. It doesn't matter if you have the best offer in the world that's scalable and you're so good at what you do, and when you get on a sales call you're amazing and you retain your clients and they love to pay you and your delivering is excellent, you're going to have a hard time scaling past a certain amount, because we just literally don't have enough people we're getting seen by and teaching that your offer is what they need. And so I think it's just helpful. Again, this is a problem every business has, but I think it's just helpful to see and to identify, like, these are different things to be paying attention to, because what we want to do when that's happening, especially if we don't want to get visible, if we don't want to be seen, if we don't like messaging, is it's just so easy for our brains to either latch onto the thing we like the most, right? We love delivery, right? So that's the thing. We like need to go to get another certification to improve our skill set. So with so much love, this is so many of my clients. I love you so much. You don't need another certification, right? But that just feels more comfortable and easy. So we want to go there, or we want to go make ourselves wrong, right? It's because I suck and I have a bad money mindset and I'm not in the right vibe. And again, that might be true. No one sucks, but it might be true that you have some stuff coming up around money. It might be true that there's some stuff energetically in terms of your nervous system and your capacity to show up or to receive or to hold more clients or to hold more money or to hold more responsibility. Like, there might be truth to that, but I think we tend to get really general and make it what the issue really isn't, and the real issue is that we want to look at, right? We want to identify these different things. If it's actually that we're just not getting seen by enough people and communicating effectively, and we're spending all of this time doing energetic healing work, which is beautiful and powerful and beneficial. I am not knocking it. I do that work as well. But we're not also addressing what our business needs to bring in those clients and sales. You can do all of the healing work in the world and we're still not going to break past that income ceiling. And then it becomes this vicious cycle, because then we make it mean we're still not good enough, or there's still more wrong with our energy. Like, I have done so much healing energy work. I've worked with my coach for 6.5 years. I go to therapy. I am so grateful to that world. So I'm not knocking it at all. And I do think in our business space, sometimes it's almost like we get addicted to finding what's wrong with us and trying to fix it. When most of us are, like, I know I have to be mindful of that. I put a pause on therapy recently, if this is helpful to hear, because I'm like, oh, I'm actually good and self-regulated. And I am just now coming to therapy looking for something to fix in myself. That's actually, like, I'm so proud of myself for even noticing that. But I think that's something, if we're not paying attention to it, we can do. And then we make that the reason, or that's the place we want to almost hide, as opposed to, oh, actually there's just some really practical things my business needs so that I can show up more, so that I can have the infrastructure that supports my results so I can make more money. So again, not at all discounting the importance of, this is the work I do with my clients as well, on the mindset, nervous system, healing side of things. And I think it's just helpful for us to see, like, what is the right problem to solve in business, which is my job as a coach, which if you're working with a coach is their job to support you with. I'm just so mindful with these conversations because I'm not coaching everyone 101, that I'm giving the context and nuance here. Okay. I think similarly with the messaging piece, and my prostate is falling, y'all. That I think is a couple other pieces come up here, just in terms of if we're hitting those revenue ceilings. The other places I would be taking a look at in terms of strategic shifts I work on with clients is taking a look at content overall. If you're showing up a lot and posting a lot of content, and a lot of my high achiever clients, especially because we've just had so many shifts with marketing, this is not new news. We've been talking about this for the last 2 years, but things just have shifted online. So if you're showing up a lot, you're creating a lot of content, and you're not creating urgency or demand, or you're not seeing that translate into clients. And I'm not talking about the bullshit people online who are using crappy manipulative marketing where they're like, if every time you post you don't have like 100 people in your DMs, or if your content doesn't move people, then that's why you're not making 100K per month. I don't know. There's a lot of, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if we have a strategy that you've been consistently showing up for, and it's been 90 days and you're not seeing any traction in a way that we would expect based on your business and where you're at and everything going on there, not did you make $1 million overnight, I would really take a look. Like, I think then you want to take it, it's probably messaging, but it might also be your content strategy overall. Things just have shifted. And similarly, looking at, without getting too much in here, but just things I'm looking at with clients recently, just in terms of like, what are the shifts? I've got lots of live streams on this, so this will just be really quick here, but are we being too general? Are we being too informational? Are we giving actually people too much? This is one of my challenges, but I just think our attention spans are so much shorter than ever, and we forget that sometimes over teaching, over giving actually has people not pay attention, especially on apps like Instagram. Are we not being specific enough? Are we not owning results enough? Are we not helping to teach people what the next step is and to why to hire from us? Are we not creating enough personal branding? Are we not sharing enough of to build trust, right? Because we are, as sure everybody is saying online, we're in a trust recession. Are we not creating enough social proof and personal experience, client experience stories to build that trust? These are all just things I would be looking at if you're finding your content isn't converting. And then similarly, what I look at with clients a lot is, are we just having really inconsistent sales and or launch cycles? One of my clients has been fully booked for years, and I wish I had the conversation to pull up. We were chatting about something, and something I said to her, I was like, don't forget, you know how to do this. You just need to go sell a little bit, just in terms of she had some spots to fill. And she was like, right, of course. Like, her brain wanted to go doing like all of these different things, and the reason she's able to make 20K plus months is all the things we just talked about are in place. And she had just pulled back on selling. She just hadn't been selling really clearly and actively. And I think we just forget that if we are not selling clearly and actively, if we're like trying to play hard to get, if we're too much in our delivery in our business and so we just haven't been actively selling, or if we kind of do this thing where it's like, I just launch when I feel like it because I want to make some money, as opposed to strategically building out launch cycles and strategies. I have quite a few clients. One of my clients had a really epic launch results recently. She had a 10% conversion rate. I think conversion rates are like 1% to 3% in the industry. But one of the reasons for that, she's just been so great about, like, she has a consistent launch cycle, but she's really been focused on what is she strategically doing to nurture all the things we're talking about here, to nurture her audience between her launches, so that she's really strategically setting herself up for her next launch. She's not doing this thing where it's like in the middle of the month when she wants to, or in the middle of the year when she wants to make more money, just slapping together a launch that she's going to put out next week, right? These have been things that like, and look, I'm all for messy action sometimes, but in terms of that, breaking those income ceilings and doing so consistently, she's just really being intentional and mapping that out. So those are just some things I would be looking at in terms of the kind of sales strategy, launch side of things. Let me know, is this helpful, y'all? Tell me if this is helpful or if this is too overwhelming. I'm hoping this is helpful just in terms of being able to identify what are some opportunities. But I obviously always want this to be valuable for you. All right, I'm just going to go through real quickly here, just looking at the time because I have a call. Real quickly, delivery systems team, just a couple of things that come up. The reason I want to share delivery systems and team on the strategy side of things is I just think we sometimes think in business when we're not making the money we want, when we're not making the 20K, the 30K, the 50K, the 100K months, it's always offer or it's always the marketing and sales. And I think most of the time online, what you're being marketed to, because it's sexy and it's what people are selling, is just the marketing sales side of things or like the offer creation side of things. And of course, those are important. We just spent 40 minutes talking about that. But I think we forget the back end and the infrastructure of our business also has a lot to do with our ability to scale and make more money. If we don't have an infrastructure to hold and support us, it's really tough to bring in more money. I live in New York City, and so I always think about this with the taller the skyscraper, the deeper they have to dig a foundation and the stronger the infrastructure they have to build. I live right by the Manhattan, the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm in Dumbo, down under Manhattan Bridge overpass, and I can see the Brooklyn Bridge. Like when I go to Dumbo House, I can like see the bridge. There's beautiful. Both of those, for those bridges to be so tall and to like cross the water and to be so strong, they have to have a really strong infrastructure that goes quite deep into the water. In fact, I think Brooklyn Bridge, fun fact, I think that's when they first learned about the bends, because people were diving down too deep too quickly because it needed such a strong infrastructure and support system to be able to hold it. And I forgot when it was built. I think it was built in the 1800s. I mean, it's quite an old bridge and it's still standing. Obviously, they've done updates. But point being here, the more we want to scale up and the more we want that scaling up to hold in terms of clients and revenue, usually the deeper we need our foundation, the stronger we need our infrastructure. And that goes back to some of the mindset pieces and the nervous system pieces we were talking about last week and some of the strategy pieces we're talking about here. But that also means things like delivery systems and team. And so sometimes when we're hitting a cap at revenue, it's not because there's a problem with everything else. It's because we actually need to slow down to speed up. And I know this is a thing that we fucking hate as business owners, especially if you're a go-getter, especially if you're a high achiever. None of us wants to hear slow down to speed up. And a lot of times, the fastest way to make more money is to slow down temporarily so you can create the capacity to scale. And slow down, that might mean, do we have the right team support, or do we need to slow down and actually hire someone and take the time to properly train our team to teach them how to help us, to help them help us is the way I think about it, right? Do we need to slow down for a second? The first year I made $365K. I think the year before I made $225K. This was a couple years ago. I remember the like mindset work I had to do to allow myself to slow down, to speed up, kind of what we're talking about here. I brought on more team and I spent a lot of time and money, right? I cut into my profit margin temporarily, training that team, but also building out SOPs and processes and making sure the back end of our business was really built to work without me and to let my train my team so that they could help me, so that I could help them help me. And I mean, my revenue didn't like take a dip, but I didn't like hurry up and scale. But because of that, I was able then to add over 100K in revenue the next year. And I continue to benefit from that. Had I not done that, I don't know. I mean, I have between 20 to 25 one-on-one clients at any given time. And I provide quite a lot of hands-on support, on sessions, and provide a lot of quite a lot of hands-on support, but I also am continuing to create new content and market, right? Do the things that allow us to continue to make those results. I don't know if I could do that at that level and hold clients and support clients to making multi-6 and 7 figures if I didn't have that infrastructure behind me, if I was trying to do everything myself, if I was constantly reinventing the wheel with my team, if I had a new strategy that I had to teach my team every week, if we didn't have SOPs, if we went through, over the last year, gone through quite a few team changes in terms of like having to let some people go, bringing some new people on. That would be so tough and disruptive to my business if we didn't have those SOPs, if we didn't have those things dialed in. Similarly for my offer, I think one of the reasons it's easier for me at this stage is I've been doing the same thing for so long. I've really drilled into my delivery. I've gotten better at it, but I also have been able to improve it and understand kind of what goes into it. And so I think, without going like too much into that there, I think sometimes we just forget how important that part is to scale. It's just not the sexy stuff to talk about, which is kind of why I saved it for last. But this is the stuff we sometimes need. One of my, if you sign up for the Simplified Scaling Blueprint, I think I put this sales email in there, but I wrote a client case study on this. One of my clients who hired me, they came to me making I think they were making just over 6 figures when they hired me. And they've since scaled to 50K a month, about 600K, 5 to 600K per year, given they've worked with me for a while, so it just depends on the year. They were sure they had a marketing and sales problem. And when we kind of unpacked what was going on, look, are there more opportunities for them in marketing? There's more opportunities for all of us in marketing. Were there more opportunities in their sales process? Sure, that's the case for most of us, but they were at capacity. And so if we had spent all of our time on that, it really wouldn't have mattered and increased their revenue because they were so at capacity. If we just run in a ton of more leads and sales, they couldn't have done anything with that. We had to solve for their capacity problem, meaning they had more demand than they had spots in their business, right, to serve that demand. And so we had to solve for that capacity because otherwise it wouldn't matter, again, how many more clients we brought in. It also wouldn't matter if they burnt out and they started creating crappy delivery because half of their clients come from referrals, and that would have long-term just ruined their business and the income they were already making. What we had to do is look at how do we create more capacity, which looked like, I think they brought in 2 new team members, building out SOPs, automating, systematizing a lot of the back end to create capacity. And then they created capacity and we didn't even have to improve their marketing and sales because they already had that demand. Like that was the big shift. Like truly that was the big shift that let them go from just over 6 figures to 50K months and 600K. It's not always a marketing and sales problem. And there's usually always an opportunity for us to improve that, but that does not matter if we don't have the capacity to deliver to those clients. And so sometimes, yes, it's creating a new offer. Sometimes it's raising rates, but sometimes it's building the infrastructure to increase our capacity so that we can serve more of those clients. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, y'all. I hope that was helpful. I'm going to put a button on this because my growth edge right now is being a little bit more concise because I want to just hang with y'all and pour into y'all and like talk about these things for like 3 hours. And I realize I have to walk my talk, and something I would coach my clients around is how important it is for us to also make sure these things are digestible and actionable. So I know I gave you a lot today, but I also am not going to give you more, so that you can take this conversation, the last 3 we've had, and use this as a way to audit your business and start to see, again, not what are you doing wrong. No one's doing anything wrong. Business is a journey. Entrepreneurialism is a journey. We are all on the journey. It is a growth journey. It is a process. It is something we are always in the process of growing. But if you're finding that you're doing a lot of things and again, hitting those income ceilings and you're not sure why, I hope you can use these conversations over the last 3 weeks to help you identify what the right current problem to solve is in your business and what the right lever to press in your business is. And I really want to invite you, as you think about these things, again, to remember, for most of us, all of these things are opportunities, but that doesn't mean it's the right problem to solve. We want to take a look at, based on your business and what your business goals are and what your business needs, what is the current reason for the results you have and the current opportunity that's going to help you either make your results more consistent and easy or to help you scale those. And I really would invite you to look at the 1 to 2 levers. It doesn't mean that you might not solve for more things over time, but that client example I just gave, yes, they absolutely had an opportunity with their messaging. They absolutely had an opportunity with their marketing and with their sales. We've now gone back and revisited. But if we had started there when their real core opportunity was to create some capacity by bringing on some team and systems and processes, if we hadn't addressed that first, we could have spent the next 3 years working on marketing and sales and be like, I don't understand. We must just not be good enough at messaging and marketing and sales because we're not making more money, right? We could have just made ourselves crazy and actually been doing a really great job of that because they were just at a capacity limit. So I really want to invite you to look at, again, not to say that all of these things couldn't be opportunities, but to identify the one or two current opportunities that are going to be the best lever for you to press. And if you want support with that, book a free coaching consultation with me. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. That's what I help clients with. I do have a week-long strategy intensive available in May. One-on-one spots, I'm not sure when the next one of that is available, but definitely do have one strategy intensive I'm opening up next month. And again, reach out if you have any questions in here as well. You're welcome to pop them in the group. All right, y'all. I love you so much. I hope this was valuable. I will see you next week. Bye.